Coming up on Transworld Sport, we catch up with the Dutch stars of BMX Supercross.
We see how sport is playing a leading role at England's Royal College of the Blind.
At Silverstone, the World Rallycross Championship season is hotting up.
And we're back in Iceland to find out more about the nation's unique equine pedigree.
At 6 a.m. on a Monday morning, the Ballyshannon swimming pool in County Donegal, Ireland, isn't open to the public yet. But rising star of the sport, Mona McSharry, and her coach have their own set of keys to let themselves in. Early starts are part and parcel of the routine for the Irish Olympic hopeful.
I probably started the early mornings like 2 or 3 years ago and kind of built it up so it gets earlier and earlier. Like I used to get up at like 6:30, which felt really early, and then you bring it back, and now some of the mornings I get up at like 4:30 or 5 o'clock, which seems really early, but once you go to bed at a good time, it's actually okay. I'm kind of used to it now, and I enjoy getting it out of the way in the morning. I don't mind training because the pool is all to myself, which is nice.
18-year-old Mona specialises in the breaststroke, and she already has numerous Irish swimming records to her name.
When I was younger, before I knew how to swim, when I was about 5, I went on holidays to Austria, and I didn't nearly drown, but I fell into the water, and my dad had to fish me out of the water. So I guess from there onwards, my parents were like, okay, it's time to, teach her how to swim. So I started going to classes and stuff, and then kind of fell in love with it. I've always been around the sea, like I live right beside the beach and stuff, so I've always been in the water, and then I started learning how to swim when I was 5.
Mona proved a natural at the sport and progressed rapidly up the ranks. In 2017, she went to the European Junior Championships in Israel, full of confidence.
At the start of 2017, me and my coach set out a goal to, go to Europeans, because it was going to be my last year, and go as fast as I could. And I'd gotten 2 seconds the year before, so I was hoping to be high enough up, but I knew the competition was going to be tough. So we trained for that year really hard, and because it was transition year in school, I didn't have a lot of studies to do, so I could really focus on swimming, and that really helped. And then I guess on the build up to it, I just got really fast and really powerful, and it just worked to my advantage, and I did really well at Europeans, and it was actually amazing that I could do so well and get the 2 golds and the silver. And then I guess that brought a lot of momentum into the World Juniors, but still, again, I really wasn't expecting to do as well as I did there either. 2017 was an amazing summer for me, an amazing end to an amazing year, really.
A month after the Junior Europeans, Mona travelled to the United States for the Junior World Championships. There, she struck gold in the 100 metres breaststroke and bronze in the 50 metres.
I guess we sat down after Europeans, and after doing so well there, we expected that I would make the finals, and really the goals were to get into the finals, and then from there I had done everything that I'd set out to do, and to just go in and race it and see where I came. Going into the race, going in second, it was really nerve-wracking, but I was kind of like, I was ready for it, I was driven, and I guess it all paid off. Like, it was one of the happiest moments of my life, I think, to this date, definitely in the sport, I would say.
Having won almost everything on offer during her junior career, Mona moved up to the senior ranks last year. The teenager found the switch tough.
It was one of the roughest years, I'd say, that I had, especially coming off the back of such a great year, and then having to compete at a different level, which is really hard. Like, juniors and seniors is such a big jump, but because you do it in 1 year, you feel like, okay, I was at the top at juniors, I should be doing really well at seniors, but it's not like that, and I really struggled kind of getting that sort of mind frame. So it really played with me in 2018, and I had a couple of tough races, and it didn't really work out for me at Europeans, which was really upsetting. But then I came back kind of to try and do better this year, which is what I'm hopefully going to do into building into the Olympic year as well.
2018 did end on a high note for Mona, as she won 6 golds at the Irish Nationals. Next month, the World Championships take place, but Mona won't be there after she missed the Irish trials due to illness.
Off the back of Nationals, I was really excited to go into the long course season because I felt so good and at short course, and I was really ready to see how I could compete long course because I hadn't swam since the Youth Olympics. And I guess then kind of a couple of weeks into training in January, didn't feel right, kind of felt very weak. A lot of people were kind of getting sick, so I got tonsillitis and then found out I had glandular fever, which was pretty devastating. I had to take a good 6 weeks off training, which was agonizing because I love to train, like forget about everything else, but it was very boring. But it was really heartbreaking as well because like I thought that maybe I could get better in time for trials because I was hoping that I could do better this year than I did the year before. So when I finally came to terms with the fact that I wouldn't be competing at trials and I wouldn't be able to go to Worlds in the summer, it was really tough. But coming through it now, I kind of feel like it's a bit of a gift because I can really concentrate on just training this year and building a really good base for next year without having to worry about competing or anything like that. So I'm kind of just easing back into training at the moment, and I'm probably not doing as much as I did back then, but slowly and surely we'll get there.
Her short-term plans may have changed, but Mona's long-term goal remains the same, and that's competing for Ireland at the 2020 Tokyo Olympics.
I am done school, Leaving Cert's over on the 20th of June, so I'll be taking next year off just to train. Which I think is a good idea because it'll be nice to have studies out of the way so I can just concentrate on swimming, and I'm probably just going to stay and train with Grace because I feel like we get on really well. Basically we're just going to focus on European short course, which is in December, and train for that, and then after that I'll be basically just training until the trials and hoping to qualify for the 2020 Olympics. That's my main target now because it is really close. It's a year away now, them trials.
Mona will be aiming to become the first Irish swimmer since Michelle Smith in 1996 to win an Olympic medal in the sport.
I remember at the age of 12, 11, 10 being asked, as a swimmer, you know, what would be the best thing for you to do? And okay, it's obviously go to the Olympics. Every sporting athlete at a young age wants to go to the Olympics, but as we come closer and closer, it would just be a dream come true to compete for my country in Tokyo.
Time to test your knowledge now with our sporting question. On June the 30th, Caster Semenya will feature at the Prefontaine Classic, the 7th Diamond League meeting of the 2019 athletics season. The South African is scheduled to compete in the women's 3,000 metres, and she'll be making her Diamond League debut over the distance. Semenya has been in the news a lot this year. In May, the Court of Arbitration for Sport ruled that the 28-year-old would have to take medication to lower her testosterone levels. However, this ruling was recently suspended until June the 25th by the Swiss Federal Supreme Court. At the Prefontaine Classic, Semenya will face Ethiopia's Genzebe Dibaba in the 3,000 metres. The African showdown in America looks set to be an intriguing encounter. And it's the Prefontaine Classic that gives us the subject for our question. We'd like to know who holds the record for the longest winning streak at the event. We'll bring you the answer later in the show.
This is the Dutch city of Arnhem. It's situated in the east of the country, close to the border with Germany. Extensively rebuilt after the Second World War, Arnhem is a thriving place and is a sporting hub for the Netherlands. On the outskirts of the city is the Papendal BMX Centre, and it was the location for round 4 of the UCI Supercross World Cup. In the women's elite final, last year's overall champion, Laura Smulders, was going in search of her first World Cup victory of the season. But from the outset, the Dutch rider in white found herself chasing America's Elise Willoughby, who made a blistering start. Willoughby won silver at the Rio Olympics, and when she hits the front in a race, the 28-year-old takes some stopping. Smulders, who hails from nearby Nijmegen, was roared on in her pursuit of the American by her home fans, and approaching the final corner, the Dutch rider went into the lead. Smulders claimed victory ahead of Willoughby. The win moved the 25-year-old to third in the overall standings, behind Elise Willoughby and leader Judy Bode.
I definitely had a déjà vu coming into the third straight today. I was like, okay, I'm not going to try in the last turn, I'll just go outside and then whatever, do high-low in the last turn. But then I saw she slowed down that much and I got her on the third straight, so I was like, okay, then I'll go inside and just like defend. And I got on the last straight and was like, oh, finally in a win again. You know, all the fans are here, it's my home track basically, so I put so much pressure on myself and then I win today. Just feels amazing, and I hope Nick can do it again today. Would be, well, crazy for the crowd and everyone, so good luck to him.
Okay, riders, random start. Ready, watch the gate.
Smulders' Dutch compatriot Nick Kieman made a great start in the final of the men's elite. The 23-year-old won the overall World Cup title last year, and he's continued his dominant form into this season. Here in the Netherlands, Kieman was looking for back-to-back World Cup victories. Kieman held off France's Joris Dorday to take the win. It sealed an impressive day for the Dutch, with Laura Smulders on hand to congratulate Kieman.
Like last night, it was 11 p.m, completely dark, and my legs felt so sore, so I still did a little recovery ride. And this morning, like, of course I didn't sleep that well because of the adrenaline. I woke up, I heard the alarm, I was like, you gotta be kidding me. And then, like, the first rounds, also like when the pressure's not there, I struggled to put everything together, but I really felt like when the pressure got more and more, when there was actually something on the line, I was able to put things together again, and yeah, just had a crazy lap in the main.
Once again, this Dutch duo are the ones to beat this season.
For nearly 150 years, the UK's Royal National College for the Blind has provided education, training and life skills to young people with visual impairments. Located in Hereford, the RNC is home to Europe's only sports academy for visually impaired students. Here, aspiring athletes can pursue their Paralympic dreams alongside their studies. In a bid to encourage young people with visual impairments to pick up one of these sports, the RNC recently opened its doors to members of the public. They were invited to try their hand at visually impaired, or VI, sports. College Principal Mark Fisher.
Well, a day like today is really important because for our students it's engaging with members of the public. For members of the public who may never have tried a VI sport before, it gives them the opportunity to come and test their skills and give them an opportunity to perhaps go away and think about it and maybe take on a sport, something that they might have wanted to do for years and never had the confidence to do. Our young leaders here today are showing people that any sport is available to them and to take part and enjoy themselves. So that's what we're hoping to get out of today.
One of the sports available to students at the college is goalball. It's a team sport designed specifically for athletes with visual impairments. Tactile markings are laid out across the floor to help players know where they are on the court. Teams score by throwing the ball, which contains several small bells, into the opposition's net. Head coach of the Great Britain side is Aaron Ford.
It's a great team sport. It's a great opportunity for people to work together, to build communication, to look at different ways of being involved, leadership skills, teamwork. So goalball's a fantastic sport that encaptures everything really that we expect from a team and sport, and hopefully gives these athletes and students and people involved a huge number of sort of skills and qualities that they can use in everyday life.
19-year-old goalball player Carly Holder is in her third and final year at the RNC. Like many students at the college, she began her time here with limited exposure to VI sports. She's since established herself as a key player on the GB team.
I think it's important that people get involved in visually impaired sport because it gives you so much more opportunity, not only playing the sport and being fit, but also the community, confidence, and also eventually being a role model to younger children, and just enabling you to apply them in everyday life. So confidence could be transferred into like a job role or anything like that, and as you get older that helps you progress into a career or whatever you decide to do. And I think those are key skills that maybe sometimes people lack, and sport kind of enables you to do it, and sometimes you don't even realise that you're gaining those skills, which is the best part about it because you're having fun.
Another sport offered to students at the college is blind football. The RNC hosted the sport's World Championships back in 2010, and it now acts as the permanent home of England's blind football team. Dan English is the captain of the side. As a former student at the RNC, he benefited from the unique pathway offered between the college and the national setup.
I come to the college because I got scouted by a previous head coach. And I came as a student, and once I was here I studied massage and got, it was around about 18 hours a week of football as a student on top of my massage course, and that then helped me progress on into the England squad and go through from being a player that was kind of like in the squad to one of the starting players, and then to this day now, it's because of that time I've had here, I've been able to develop to become the captain for the England team.
Dan has been completely blind since the age of 9. He's accumulated over 100 caps for England, representing his nation at both European and World Championships. Thanks to the facilities available to students at the Royal National College for the Blind, athletes like Dan are given the opportunity to develop both on and off the field.
I look around and I think sport's done so much for me, not just at an elite level, but socially. And I think if I didn't have sport in my life, and I think I'd have a very poor quality of life. Blind people don't always get to go out and are sometimes limited in the inclusion they have. I think sport has given me that outlet to go and do that, broaden my network socially and professionally, and develop as an individual.
The RNC continues to brighten the lives of those living with a visual impairment.
Our top 5 now looks at some visually impaired athletes who've reached the top of their sport. First up is Jason Smith. The Irish sprinter competes in the T13 classification, with his central vision being affected by Stargardt's disease. He's the fastest Paralympian of all time, with world records in both the 100 and 200 metres.
Despite being totally blind, bodybuilding star Louis Jagenia has won 8 national titles and competed at 2 World Championships. At the 2002 Worlds, the Argentinian finished 5th, whilst up against 13 other fully sighted competitors.
Bashira Matson is a blind boxer from Uganda. He fights in small events in Kampala, mostly against boxers who are blindfolded. He's won the majority of his bouts, and his success has seen his popularity grow throughout his homeland.
Kevin Alderton was left blind after being assaulted, but he didn't let that stop him from pursuing his love of skiing. In 2006, the Englishman set a blind speed skiing world record of 100 miles an hour.
And finally, the Prusik Twins, Carmen and Ramona. The German duo have a degenerative sight disorder that began during their teens. They took up judo and competed in the able-bodied category as juniors. Since then, the pair have both won gold at the Paralympics, competing in different weight categories. Silverstone is the home of British motorsport, and the iconic venue was the location for the fourth round of the World Rallycross Championship. A short, sharp blend of circuit and off-road racing, Rallycross is the ultimate test of driver and machine. Every World Rallycross race this season has been won by a different driver. Such is the standard of competition. The lineup for Silverstone included Swedish brothers Timmy and Kevin Hansen, who currently occupy the top two spots in the drivers' standings. Joining them was James Bond's stunt driver Mark Higgins and 31-year-old Briton Liam Doran, who reached the podium in the season opener in Abu Dhabi despite almost quitting the sport at the end of last year.
This year was a big surprise for me. It definitely wasn't in the plan. With everything that's happened in the past few years, I kind of packed up my bag for the last time and was ready for it to come to an end. So then for that to turn around last year, going into driving the GCK from nowhere really, and then from that then leading on to doing this full championship, it's something that I hadn't expected to happen. I think at Silverstone there's not an awful lot of pressure on me this year because I've got such a good resource to pull upon with a good team and good mechanics and good sponsors. So I've got everything I need to get a result I need. So I feel actually more comfortable and more at ease than normal because the pressure on me now is just the driving.
Liam Doran progressed to the final alongside Sweden's Timmy Hansen. However, Timmy's brother Kevin was eliminated. So 6 laps of the track to decide it. Let's join the action.
Ready to race for the last time in the UK. Oh, it's a good start by Backer and Timmy Hansen. Not quite so good. Backer going to try and shut the door. He puts a squeeze on Timmy. Contact between them. Timmy in the tyres. Backer trying around the outside. Timmy straightens up. Scheider's all the way up to P3. Martin dropped into fourth. Sabo trying to go around the outside in turn 2. Not going to go up the inside of Martin, is he? There's contact between them. We ride on board with Doran now. So Doran behind Sabo, but it's backward in front of Hansen and Scheider up to third. Hansen goes. So Timmy Hansen has gone. This will give him some space from backward, but it might be to protect from Anton Markland behind. Markland coming out the standard lap, but Timmy Hansen surely just going to hold him off. That's fantastic spotting from his team, and backwards guys are going to need to be on that as well. Andreas has got to go absolutely all in if he wants to take the win here in the UK. Is he going to go Joker, or does he stay out? He goes Joker. He's gone now, so backwards gone now. They don't think they can match the pace of Hansen. He's tidy on the inside. Timmy coming round the outside. Going to be a drag race down the turn 1. This will be really close. Backward trying to come out, but he can't. Timmy Hansen's got him on the run down to turn 1. Hansen will go defensive. Backwards going to try and find a way. Can't. Timmy goes tight. Backward goes wide. Got to try and find a way through, but a fantastic lap from Timmy Hansen to put himself in this position.
Yeah, fastest lap of the day was Liam Doran.
Doran's pulled off, so Doran's pulled off, and he's out of this one, but we're back at the front with Timmy Hansen and backward now. So Hansen has shown his intention very clearly here in the UK. It's a brilliant performance. Timmy Hansen is our first double winner of 2019. The fireworks fly, backward crosses line P2. He was so close.
Timmy Hansen became the first double winner of the 2019 World Rallycross Championship season, narrowly ousting Andreas Backerud into second place.
I pushed so hard, and I was super close to him when I went into the Joker. I made a fantastic laugh. Just after that, I put everything together, and I think from that point I was probably in the lead. And then it felt so good to come out in front, especially after what happened in turn 1. But I must say it doesn't feel the same without Kevin here. So super happy for myself. We did 30 points again this weekend, but I'm missing Kevin on the podium.
Time now for Sporting Heroes. At the 2016 Rio Olympics, divers Chris Mears and Jack Law won Great Britain's first gold medal in the sport. 26-year-old Chris specialises in the 3-metre synchronised springboard discipline. With Jack, he's also won world bronze, European gold and 2 Commonwealth titles. A keen DJ, Chris will skip the 2019 season to focus on his music, but he'll return to training with the aim of defending his Olympic title in Tokyo next year. Chris was 17 when he first began competing at the senior level, but his sporting hero was a child prodigy.
I'm Chris Mears and my sporting hero is Alexander Despatie.
Alexander Despatie rose to fame as a 13-year-old when he won the 1998 Commonwealth title in the 10-metre platform event. The Canadian went on to win a further 8 Commonwealth gold medals, 3 world titles and 2 Olympic silvers. Alex retired in 2013 with 37 national titles to his name, and he remains the only man to have won world titles in all 3 individual diving categories.
Alex Despatie is my sporting hero. There's a number of reasons. I mean, he's an awesome diver. I think he started diving when he was 7 years old. And even from a young age, you could see by his form. Like, I've seen videos of him, and my God, just his form and just his awareness of where he was and his shape was incredible. Also, to go to Commonwealth Games when you're 13 years old is awesome. Like, that's an awesome achievement. And then to win when you're 13 years old in a full group of adults is something that I've never seen in my life before, which is why at that moment when I saw him do that when I was really, really young, I was a young kid, I was only sort of 8 myself, and to see him do that was incredible.
Recently on Transworld Sport, we travelled to the Icelandic capital, Reykjavik. An increasingly popular tourist destination, the city is home to the National and Saga museums, which trace Iceland's Viking history. On the outskirts of the city, we visited Landsmót, the country's largest equine competition, which showcases Iceland's best riders and horses. The history of the Icelandic horse is interwoven with the country's culture, and a strategic marketing plan called Horses of Iceland has been developed within the equine community. At Landsmót, we met Jelena who manages this intriguing enterprise.
So Horses of Iceland started in 2015 when stakeholders in the Icelandic horse community got together and wanted to combine forces to give the horse a presence into the outside world. And we got funding from the Icelandic government. So what's unique about this project is that we both have the government and the entire industry working together as a whole.
Horses of Iceland bring you closer to nature is the marketing slogan used by the project, encompassing tourism and the importance of pure breeding. For the second part of our trip, Jelena was keen for us to meet 2 people who have close links with the venture. We headed 130 kilometers out of Reykjavik to Hrísdalur, a breeding farm owned by Gunnar Sturluson, situated in West Iceland.
In 2003, I bought this farm and started breeding horses here. Since I'm from this area, I'm born and raised in Stykkishólmur, which is only half an hour's drive from here. I just jumped when I saw this farm coming up for sale and bought it, and I've been working on it ever since.
Gunnar is a lawyer by profession and he works in the capital, but his love of horses is equally important to him. The scenery around Hristalur is stunning, but sadly for us, the rain and mist dropped in during our visit. Yet undeterred by the weather, Gunnar was willing to take us down to the nearby coast.
That is probably the most thrilling experience on a horseback. When you come down to the beach, the horses become so lively. There is an endless flat ground in front of you. The sea is coming in and out. The horses become very energetic, and the sand is as firm as any oval track. So it is so nice to ride, and to ride fast. That's the thrill, that's the thing.
Gunnar is also the president of the International Federation of Icelandic Horse Associations. It's responsible for the sport and maintaining the purity of the breed worldwide. And global interest in the Icelandic horse leads to an important income for breeders.
I think we export out of Iceland around 1,500 horses per year. Just to put this in perspective, there are around 240,000 Icelandic horses in the world. Out of that, we have around 100,000 horses here in Iceland. We have about 45,000 people being a member of riding clubs for Icelandic horses around the world. So this number of people calls for quite a lot of horses. So obviously we export some. You get a better price in general for a horse abroad than here on the domestic market.
Like many connected with the business, Gunnar is a strong believer in the Horses of Iceland project.
They've done a very good job in promoting that through social media over the internet. So I think more people are aware of the Icelandic horse now than they were before the Horses of Iceland started. So this is an outstanding project in my opinion. I'm absolutely certain that the Icelandic horse is probably the best ambassador Iceland has.
En route back to Reykjavik, around 17 kilometers north of Borgarnes, we visited Hestaland, a horse farm run by Gudmar Pettersson.
Hestaland is kind of like an Icelandic horse center here in the beautiful landscape in the west part of Iceland. We focus on horse tourism, kind of with educational twist. We do different kinds of tours. We do trail riding tours or educational tours. We like to prepare our people before we take them out in the open, or before we even put them on the horse. So that's kind of our specialty, I think we can say. There's no better way to see Iceland than from the top of a horse. You can make it to places where a car wouldn't even get to. So it's a great way to see the landscape. But on the same time, it's important to feel good on the horse. It's important to be on a good horse and feel good and know enough what you're doing so you can then focus on enjoying it. We have to make sure we have a huge or quite a big variety of horses. We need anything from the horse that literally anybody can ride. It just goes in a line and takes care of you. But then we also get quite a bit of good riders here. So we have to make sure we have horses that are very talented and can make those people happy too.
The tourist industry in Iceland is booming, and for many visitors, the Icelandic horse is a huge attraction.
We have well over 1 million tourists here every year, so I think we have to do our best to promote the horse here the best we can. I think it's important when somebody comes to visit your home country and wants to see or experience the Icelandic horse, we make that experience as good as possible and hopefully create more and more fans, you know.
Gudmar's ethos is also in tune with the aims of the Horses of Iceland project.
I think they've done extremely good things. Obviously great to get the government involved, get all the organizations involved, and I believe in the project. I'm a part of the project, and I wish to be a bigger part of the project in the future. And I think we need to unite behind it and make great things happen.
Heartening words for Jelena and her colleagues back in Reykjavik, who are looking to continue with this fascinating Horses of Iceland project for many years to come.
Now for the answer to our sporting question. We asked you to name the athlete with the longest winning streak at the Prefontaine Classic.
Allora, Transworld Sport, benvenuti a mia casa.
The answer is Maria Mutola, who won an incredible 16 consecutive races over 800 metres between 1993 and 2008. Born in Mozambique, Mutola played soccer as a child before deciding to take up athletics, allegedly on the advice of one of the country's most revered poets, Jose Craveirinha. She went on to enjoy a long and illustrious career, competing at 6 Olympic Games and 9 World Outdoor Championships. Her performances saw her revered by the youngsters back home, many of whom live in poverty. She earned the nickname the Maputo Express in reference to her speed and the place in which she grew up.
It means a lot to me when I go home to Mozambique and see all the children and all the people in this country who support me. It really does mean a lot to me. That's why I feel so proud when I am on the track and I am wearing the colours of Mozambique. It is an honour to be able to represent my country, and I always know that when I'm out there, all of the people of Mozambique are willing me on to win a medal.
Mutola's finest moment came at the 2000 Sydney Games, where she claimed her country's first ever Olympic gold. Following her retirement from athletics in 2008, Mutola began playing soccer again, competing in the South African Women's League. Now aged 46, Mutola has been coaching Caster Semenya, who's won 2 Olympic titles over 800 metres.
For me, I was just enjoying my football. Whilst I'm on that pitch, I forgot about everything that happened. Up to now, I'm still saying it to my friends, like family. I still don't know how I made it.
Al Bangura lives in southern England with his family. He reached his dream of playing in the Premier League for Watford in 2006. But his journey to the top flight of English football was a harrowing one.
I'm from Sierra Leone, then I grew up in Freetown. I would grow up with my 2 younger sisters and then with my mum. Young kids in Africa, like after school, the only thing that they want to do, especially boys, they want to play football. Apart from that, there's nothing else to do. I lost my dad when I was really young, at least I think about a year old. My dad, he was like a head in a secret society. We call it, like in English, they said like Poro society. But in our language, they call it Soko society. They can cut off their skin. They just have like this little voodoo stuff that they do. As soon as I get older, when I turn like 13, 14, that's when they started asking my mom, said, because your son dad was the head of the secret society, so he needs to take charge because this is the cult, this is how we're doing it. So all that is a bit scary for me, so I sort of refused. I said, this is not what I want to do. Someone arranged for me to leave the country. I left, I went to Guinea. I met a French guy that normally helps young talent footballers to come to Europe. Because I was desperate and I wanted to like do what I love, things that I was like, okay, maybe this might be my opportunity. So basically everybody thought like, yeah, he's a good guy, he always help young kids to progress. I think no one knew what he was doing. We traveled from Guinea to France. We stayed in a hotel, stayed in my own room. He stayed in his own room. It was fine, wake up in the morning, have a breakfast, walk around in the town for like a few hours, jump on the train, come to London. That's where everything started. I come to London, which is like really early in the morning. Don't know where I'm going. I was all excited. I said, wow, this is amazing. You know, for someone like him to help me. I trusted him. Like everything changed within 2 hours. He left me in the hotel and then someone knocked the door. But I don't know what to say. I couldn't even speak English. I stand still for like a couple of minutes and they knocked the door again. I refused to open it because if it's him, he's gonna say it's me. Open the door. But no one said anything. Eventually opened the door, then like the first person who walked in, he walked around, then another guy come in. They start walking around, looking around. Couldn't really understand what they're talking about. So that's when I started getting worried. All of a sudden, the next guy come next to me, sit down next to me, putting his arm around me, and I was like, what's going on? I just start crying. It get worse, where it's like, they don't want to stop. They start pulling me, like pulling my top, things like that. I was like, no. That's when I start screaming so loud and then banging the wall. And then he walked out. So I just run off, and then I was really like stressed, crying, you know. I thought like I'm here to play football. I thought I'm gonna like be safe coming here, all them things. I tried to speak to people, like different people for help. I managed to get someone, which I remember is a Nigerian guy. I said, I'm really scared. And the guy said, there's a place where you can apply for asylum and explain your problem. When I get into the Home Office, they decided to give me like 2 years stay until I'm 18. They transferred me to the Refugee Council, which is in Brixton. They put me in a home in around North Circular in North London as well. Whilst I was staying there, that's when I started meeting people from my country, started meeting friends from my country, seeing people that I know now that have come from my background. So I'm sort of playing football now. And then some of the other guys, they're playing for Chelsea Town. That's when I start going to train with them. And the coach for the Chelsea Town, he's like a chief scout for Watford them time. The coach come and speak to me, said, well, I'm gonna organize a trial for you to come to Watford.
Thursday afternoon we always had a five-a-side, or it ended up being about an 11-a-side on a five-a-side pitch between all the apprentices and all the staff. That's where I first noticed Al, because he did the stupid thing of nutmegging the manager. So I put the ball through my legs, went round somebody else and scored, and he caught my eye then.
He's one of the persons that I'm so grateful for, you know, with everything that he's done for me. Like, he changed my life, you know, like, he really like just put me up there straight away.
When you sort of hear the horrific situation he was in, and the fact that how he actually got to this country in the first place, it humbles you really, and makes you realise that there are a lot of people a lot worse off than you that despite their situation managed to hang on in there, be persistent and come through and make a career for themselves, and that's exactly what he did.
Amazingly, just 1 year after arriving in England, Al Bangura's dream started to gather momentum. As a Watford youth in 2005, he was called up twice into A.D. Boothroyd's senior team in the Championship. 40 appearances for the side the following season saw him awarded the club's Young Player of the Year award in a campaign which culminated in promotion to the Premier League. Al was headed for England's elite.
That's how I was feeling my whole journey, me doing something, me achieving something. I don't even know how I make it. It's like a dream come true for me. I can't even explain it. Like, I don't know how I was playing in the Premiership. I couldn't even think about what I've experienced anymore. And I was just like, no, let me just get going. You know, I just keep going, Imagine on my first debut in the Premiership playing against Man United, players like Ronaldo, like Luisa, Ryan Giggs. It's just a blur, to be honest.
My resounding memory of Al is his tough tackling. He seemed to be made of like iron or rubber, and he would go through tackles and win the ball. And the header that he missed at Liverpool.
Me going to like stadium like Liverpool, Man United, Man City, Blackburn, for me it's just amazing. Coming from Sierra Leone, been through all these things that I've been through, like just playing in the Premiership, it's just a dream come true for me.
Back in the Championship the following season, Al was now a family man. The horrors experienced a few years prior almost completely forgotten, but suddenly his past reared its ugly head and his new life came under serious threat.
A Watford footballer has made a direct appeal to the Home Secretary to overturn a decision to deport him to his native country, Sierra Leone. Midfielder Al Bangura's request to stay in Britain was rejected by an immigration and asylum tribunal. He claims his life is at risk if he returns.
So it's when I turned 18 now, when my 2-year stay was finished, when I applied, that's when everything started again. My missus was pregnant at that time, you know, we were planning to get married, all them things, and I'm settled here, I got my house, I'm working, I'm paying my tax, and I'm thinking like, I can't go back anymore because it's really hard for me. There's no way, if I go there, I'm not going to survive.
I think I went to 3 or 4 tribunals as a club. I mean, Watford worked really, really hard to help him, to get him into the country. A lot of time talking to lawyers, a lot of time talking to Al, and there was that great moment when the Al Bangoras, the little placards went up from all those Watford fans, which I thought was a brilliant, brilliant gesture. Such an overwhelming thing for anybody to experience, and it really deeply affected Al, I know that.
I want the Watford fans, the players, the people who are in Watford to know that I'm a part of them in their family, and I would like to say thank you very much for them, for their support.
It was a great day for me that day. Imagine if I go back to Sierra Leone. For me, I don't think I'll be alive now. I'm just glad in the way that they sit down, think about it again, and then they end up giving me a working permit. Watford is like my home, it's like my city now. You know, wherever I go, I always have them in my heart. It's my team, it's my town, it's my family. I reckon I'll live here for the rest of my life.
With the support of Watford, Al won his appeal against the Home Office's decision to deport him. He was awarded a work permit that allowed him to remain in the UK. Although never making it back to the Premier League, his footballing journey continued through spells with Blackpool, Forest Green and Coventry. Today, he works as an ambassador for Sport for Freedom, with Julia Immonen raising awareness about the dark world of human trafficking.
I wanted to be able to talk to kids more. I wanted to be able to help people that have been through stuff in life, you know, for them to overcome what they've been through, all them things. For me, that's the sort of direction where I wanted to go.
I knew about Al's story, but like so many people, I just thought it was an asylum case. I didn't really think it was modern-day slavery and human trafficking. And then just a few years ago, I really learned that thousands upon thousands of aspiring young, especially West African footballers, are lured under the false promise of football contracts in the UK and Europe and throughout the world. And I just thought, sport's our thing. Football is one of the biggest languages really in the world. We have to try and tackle this.
It's not about me anymore because I was just fortunate. I'm grateful for myself to survive through all that, you know, because some other young kids might not achieve what I've achieved.
Al has been incredible in joining forces with us and also with the Premier League. We can't all do everything, but we can all do something to this injustice, and it is up to each and every one of us to really make a difference. We could change the tide of it in our lifetime hugely.
Al Bangura, human trafficking survivor, Premier League footballer, inspiration.